I'm back. Nothing's gonna stop me. I'm back. This is just part of the jungle. See if I can, let's get this stream popping, daddy. Yes, I'm aware that my picture is not the best, but I'm a soldier. My last stream was sabotage. There's a saboteur in the house, but that's all right. I don't mind. I love you all, and I appreciate my friends who I'm just doing a little promoting until people get in there. We see we already got one person here. I've arrived. I have arrived. But sorry about that. I don't know what was going on with that last stream, but I'm back. Seems to be back. Picture seems to be a little better. Turn off that light so the Earl sign can be in all its glory. Thank you for the one person who's watching. Two people. Um, I'm just a Dottie Two Rips. Thank you. Thank you for being a voyeur of sorts. I appreciate it. I'm just a comedy soldier. Now we left off the last stream with let's see if that stream even is up. Guns up. It was. Uh, let's just see what was going on there. Hello, Ross Incognito. I mean, we did a stream. Let's see if I disappeared. But now I'm back. I'm not sure what happened. We'll leave it up. Some technical difficulties, I guess. Well, we left off um, with my Tony Storm winning the women's championship for the third time against Hikaru Shida. A very good match. Um, yeah, but I think some people were saying I disappeared or something, and I noticed the stream on YouTube. It was only about 13 minutes, so I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if it was fully recorded, but it seems to be pretty good now. Yeah, we're on good Wi-Fi, and as good as I can be in West Hollywood. So Tony Storm wins. Mariah May brings out flowers, so there's clearly going to be an angle there. Oh, I did disappear. Okay, yeah. I mean, I noticed on the live stream uh, that's up. It says it's only about 13 minutes. But you know what might be? There's also a horrible windstorm right now. You guys can hear it. So they might have knocked out the shitty internet I have. So sorry about that. I guess it'll be like the Zabruder film of YouTube streams. Yes, I am over here now. It seems to be working. So sorry about that. Best roast judge ever. Well, most people would not agree with that, but I'm an honest roast judge, Ross Incognito, and so I stand by my judging. I've watched the Chad. I try and keep this Dabbleverse light because I just like I said, I'm just not interested in getting involved in that world. And I don't roast people online. I roast them to their face. But I've seen the battle several times. I've approached it with a very open mind. Like maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I didn't see this when that happened. I mean, it's easy to sit there and look at a roast 100 times, but I was judging that live, and uh, so I'm very comfortable with my decision to call it a draw between Ray and Chad. And I think that when you look at um, as soon as the judging was in, I said we're going to need a one joke overtime. Um, Trailer Park. I liked the pay per view yesterday. I mean, I'm the first stream shut off, so I don't. I talked right up until Tony Storm. I mean, one guy wished me bone cancer. Uh, to be honest with you, like that's mental insanity when you're sitting there wishing a guy bone cancer because he didn't vote for Ray DeVito. Now, I did feel bad for Ray because Borchetti said, "Well, I just feel sad for Chad, so I'm going to vote for him." I don't like stuff like that, but it's Borchetti for God's sakes. I love Mike, but like he is what he is. So I don't think people can get upset at that. Thank you, Trailer Park. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to be more. I'm not sure what happened with that last stream. I'll leave whatever is up from that first stream, but this seems to be working a lot better. Yeah, but I mean, see, I've had a friend of mine who died of bone cancer, Randall, and like, if you've ever seen someone die of bone cancer, you would not wish that on anyone. I mean, the last 3 days of his life was literally like seeing a balloon slowly deflate. So, oh yeah, I mean, it's all good. Like, I don't care if you think Chad lost, and you know, I mean, well, uh, here's how because I have no problem explaining myself. I barely talk to Chad or Ray, so I don't care who wins. I'm probably closest with Chad, but like, what does that mean? Like, I haven't seen Chad in person since the pandemic, so that's 4 or 5 years. And I only talk to him when he wants me to do his football podcast. And I talk to Ray a little more, but not much. I only really talk to him when he asked me to be a guest on his, uh, the Ray DeVito show. So I really could honestly care who won. But my qualifications are I've judged over 100 every week. We never took a week off, and even for like Christmas. So I've literally seen over 1,000 battles. I've participated in 13 battles, 5 on TV, 4 wins. So I know what I'm talking about. And it's not a brag. It's not like, roast battle is like some great, complicated, smart show. Um, so I feel very comfortable with how I voted. I said, and for the people who sit there and say that I cucked for Chad, let's look at what I said. I said Ray won the first round decisively. Hardly a cuck for Chad. I said in the second round, Ray had the best joke, the Sandusky joke. But Chad had a couple good jokes in a row, and that was enough for me to say he edged Ray in the round. I didn't say he killed Ray. I didn't say he dominated. I said, in my opinion, he edged Ray. And oh shit, man, let me turn off the TV.
Start an easy to build powerful website for free with a partner that always puts you first. Start for
across the room and straight into the barber chair.
This stream is doomed. We're back, Nick. We're back. And then I said in the third round, nobody did enough to win it. So I said, let's do a one joke overtime, similar to what the NHL does. So I wanted a winner. And on, whatever stack of Bibles I can put my hand on, I could care less who won. I really could. My life is not affected in any capacity. I even went on. I don't know, William. I haven't figured out. I think when I pause it, it has like an hour pause comes back on. So, my bad. But, you know, I said what I said, and I stand by it. Um, now a lot of people don't like a one-round joke off overtime because, like, well, it's unfair to judge a whole battle based on one last joke. But that's how we did it in LA. So, I don't know what, because if you look at the voting, I think in Melton's chat, it was like 90% rated Chad. So that's probably just trolls voting for because they don't like Chad. And then I think in the MLC chat, it was 60-40, and then it ended up close to 50-50. But that's probably more favorable towards Chad. So, I mean, comedy is subjective, roasting is subjective. I mean, I even went on Ray's show, I think the night after, because Stevie Lou, who I'm friends with, he was like, "Well, Earl didn't vote for Ray because he's afraid of retaliation from Chad." And like, I'm not a famous comic, that's damn sure. But in LA, I'm untouchable because I'm so well liked. Not my comedy, but just me as a person. So Chad and anybody else, you can't really fuck with me because it's just everyone loves me. Bookers love me. Most comics love me. And even the comics who don't like me uh, don't fuck with me. They just leave me alone. I mean, even Jeff Ross has had to go through other mutual friends of ours to say, "Hey, can you talk to Earl? He's really like going in on me. I don't like it. How about pick up the phone and call me?" So, um, I just I stand by my vote because roast battle is subjective on TV, and because I had the one joke that bombed, people are like, "Well, Jimmy won because none of his jokes bombed," which is true. But also points were taken off because Jimmy reads his jokes. So he got penalized, forgot the first part of the joke. And if I was allowed to read it, it would have been fine. So, I think you have to look at, when I look at the roast battle, and hopefully it's the last time I talk about this. Uh, Ray, what happened to Ray happened to me in a few battles, like where in a 3-round battle, you front load your first round with your best jokes. Because you don't, like, at least I did, because I'm not going to worry about the third round until I get there. I mean, if the first 2 rounds I lose, and the third round doesn't really matter. So I would make sure what I would try and do is kick ass in the first 10, 8, and rounds 2 and 3, I just survive. Um, Now, some people would put their best jokes in the third round, so they kind of start okay, and then Ray's first round was great. It was like the perfect first round. He made Chad go first, so he put Chad on the defensive right away. And Chad, stammered a little bit in the first couple jokes. And then, the second round, you could tell Ray ran out of steam because the jokes weren't there. But he did have the save at the end with the Sandusky joke. But I thought Chad had like 3 decent battles. So, I was trying to tell Kevin and Adam, hey, let's do one more joke. It's a joke off. Um, well, I was really good at strategies of roast battle. I was not the best roast writer. I was probably the best roast performer, me and Alex Hooper. But I think I was the master strategist. When I was really into the show and like I want to win, like my battle with Jimmy Carr, he was going to be on the what was it, the Rob Lowe roast in 2 weeks. So I know Comedy Central and Jeff, he's so fucking phony. He wanted Jimmy to win. He wanted Jimmy to kill me. Um, and so I knew if I could address Jimmy reading his jokes, that I would win. Um, and so I had Jeremiah Watkins about 10 minutes before the battle. He's like, hey, dude, do you need anything? I'm like, dude, can you go out and get me a clipboard? I don't care what, anything that looks like I can read from it, a sheet of paper. And he got me a great clipboard. I don't know where he got it from. And so I stuffed it down the back of my pants. And Jimmy even said, "I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna walk out first because I wanna see what you do." And it was perfect setup for me. Um, so I stuffed the clipboard down my backside and, I go out there and I look at it and we're about to start and I'm like, "Wait a minute." I threw the clipboard into the crowd. I'm like, I don't need my clipboard. You need yours, bitch." That won me the battle right there. Even with my one joke that bombed, it still addressed the fact that he has to read his jokes. And obviously, Jimmy Carr, he does like 2 hours of stand up a night. He doesn't need the clipboard. But, in the parlance of roast battle, it is easier if you read your jokes. But I only talk about that because, you know, one. So it's like I watched Stevie Lewis fight with that kid. I forget the guy's name, and I'll be honest with you, I had it as a draw. Like I don't think either guy dominated. And then my one friend, Matty Goldberg's like, "Oh, Stevie killed him," and then my other friend was like, "I thought the other guy took it." So you have three people, three different opinions on the results of the fight. What do you do? You know, so it's all subjective. Yeah, I mean, roast battle is a dark world. I got to be honest with you. Um, you know, because let's be honest. Now, I'm someone who helped start the show. I didn't create it. Brian Moses created the show, but I would say I helped create what it became in terms of the wildness and just the craziness. I mean, you had to really see the LA show to appreciate it. I mean, the New York show just wasn't the same, and that's not a knock on Luis Gomez or the some of the really talented people who were involved in it. But like I remember, I judged my friend Christy Ciello's battle. I think it was against Evan Williams. And it was just a different presentation. They had a DJ, but he was no Coach T. And the judging, the wildness of the show seemed a little forced, whereas the wildness in the LA show was very organic. But it's just listen, let's be honest. Roast battle is skilled bullying, so the show is kind of has a negative cloud over it. I'm trying to call someone fat before they call me old. I'm trying to call someone a whore before they call me. Or, it's really, and then you get the fans who you have your favorites on the show, so you don't think they ever lose or win or whatever. So I think certainly the ability to troll people because with roast battle in the early days, it was only on Periscope for 24 hours, and then it just disappeared, and people forgot about the battles. But when you do a Zoom roast battle on a very popular podcast, Kevin's, and then you have other popular podcasts like Melton's and Steel Toe and who are these podcasts and all those people commenting on it, the show never really dies. I mean, what was that about 3 weeks ago, and people still talk about it because you can just go on YouTube and watch it again and again and again. Whereas the old days, you couldn't. Uh, I think Periscope was like Snapchat. You couldn't screen record. Yeah, cool boy. I mean, nothing anyone says in a chat bothers me, to be honest with you. I mean, listen, you know how many people don't think I'm funny in Melton's chat? Do I wish they did? 100% I do. Of course, I want everyone to think I'm funny. That's why I do stand up. If I didn't care, I'd do it alone in my living room. But I learned a long time ago, not everyone's going to think you're funny. It's just the way it works. It's just like, I used to be the type of guy that I could be killing in a room or doing well in front of 100 people. And if I saw one person not laughing, instead of going, "Hey, 99 other people think I'm funny," I'd be like, "Why isn't that one person laughing?" But now I just realize, especially in the internet world, the Reddits, the chat rooms on the internet, and the podcast chats, probably I would say 60% of the people love me. The other 20%, I'd say there's 20% that think, this guy's okay. And there's another 20% that fucking think I stink. But me crying about that isn't going to I don't want to sales pitch someone who doesn't think I'm funny. Hey, I'm funny, man. If you don't think I'm funny, turn the channel. No one's forcing the 9 people in here to watch. Mama, Stagwar, hello. So, I mean, I know Gino. I mean, I don't know him that well, but we used to do LA comedy. I got, I think I had them on the Comedy Store podcast. He dropped an N bomb, so we had to kind of, end it early. But I mean, he's a controversial figure. Daddy, man, you're going to see the Von Erich movie? I am actually. I'm very excited to. I'm familiar with the story, so I think if you don't, I mean, the Von Erichs are kind of in that weird time in wrestling where, it was the mid '80s, world class championship wrestling wasn't really, it was very popular territory, but television wise, it didn't really pop until I think ESPN2 was televising the old episodes, but um, uh, so I think people who are like into the Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, they're not going to get the references. Like, my friend Ryan Nemeth, he's playing Gino Hernandez, one of the great heels of the mid '80s. But if you don't really follow, or if you didn't follow World Class Championship Wrestling, you're like, who's Gino Hernandez? Um, Great episode on Dark Side of the Ring about him. Kamala was there in the. No, I'm not big enough to play Bruiser Brody, but I would have shaved my head to play Gary Hart. I do the best Gary Hart impression. But, if you don't know who Gary Hart is, you're like, okay, that's funny, but who the fuck is Gary Hart? Well, I mean, cool boy. What I mean is, I don't beg for people to think I'm funny. I do what I do. It's not for everyone, that's for sure. I mean, look at the hate Matt Rife is getting. The guy's playing theaters right now. You think he cares what someone in a chat room says about his looks? Um, I do believe that Stagwar. Who should they make a movie about next? Well, there's so many tragedies in the world of pro wrestling. I mean, I would think probably Ric Flair. I mean, that would be a very interesting. But I don't know. I definitely see it on Netflix. I don't think people will go to a theater to see a movie about Ric Flair, but or Vince McMahon. I mean, that guy's a pretty evil dude, and how he really took over the territories in the early '80s was really fascinating because he was very opposite his dad, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. His dad was kind of like respectful of other people's territories. Hey, we won't go here. We won't steal your guys here. And then Vince McMahon Jr. was just like, yeah, well, Hulk Hogan's in AWA, not anymore. Kamala's in World Class Championship Wrestling, not anymore. Sting's blowing up in WCW, NWA, we're gonna get him. No, they never, but they got him toward the end. But like, Sid, he's killing it for NWA, WCW. Or he's gonna kill it for us now. F you, Vern Gagne, Greg Gagne, Ted Turner, Jim Crockett. So yeah, I mean, a Hart family movie would be good. I don't know if it's interesting enough to casual fans or non-wrestling fans. I mean, I think with Zac Efron, he's going to draw in non-wrestling fans. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. Um, I mean, a Hulk Hogan movie. I know Todd Phillips was doing it at one point where I think one of the Hemsworth brothers was playing Hulk Hogan, but that seems to kind of gone on the back burner. Um, I mean, he's not going places, bro. He's there. I mean, I saw him do stand up at the Comedy Store once. I mean, he sold out 2 shows in the main room on a Wednesday night. Main room seats about 400 people, and they were different crowds. So it wasn't just the same crowd stayed for both shows. So basically, 800 people on a Wednesday night came to see him. Like, that's impressive. Like, um, I don't know. I think, I was waiting to go on in the original room. So I had a few minutes before I was going to get called up to the stage. So I walked into the main room, and it just sucks for Matt that the first time I saw him do comedy, he forgot his place in the joke or something. I walked in right in the middle, so I'm not sure what was going on. And he just looks at the crowd and goes, and he starts playing with the buttons on his shirt. I think I'll take my shirt off. And the crowd erupted like he was the fucking Beatles. So when you have that kind of connection with an audience, you don't have to be George Carlin. So, I haven't seen his special now. Full disclosure, I probably won't. I don't watch other people's specials, but you know, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I just don't think I mean, a Hogan. Hogan, what 10 years, and young kids still know who is. Uh, I mean, a Stone Cold movie. I don't think that would. Probably not a lot of interest in that. I mean, the Ultimate Warrior would that would be just for the marks. Um, I mean, there's some really, I could see a fictional movie maybe being, see, here's the problem with wrestling movies. They're like hockey movies, surf movies. You got to find a way to draw in the fans who aren't interested in um, the the sport. Like having Zach Efron play Von Erich is great because he's going to get his fan base to, okay, well, I don't like wrestling. I don't know who the Von Erichs are, but Zach Efron's in it. Um, yeah, a Benoit movie would be fascinating. I mean, people still talk about that. I mean, obviously it's like a super sad story. I mean, but I don't know. I could I could see Zach Efron and Chris Benoit. Um, but I mean, yeah, Benoit's definitely up there. I mean, I think a movie about Vince McMahon would be good. Um, yeah, I mean, a movie about the territories, like, in the '80s when you had Jerry Lawler calling someone the F word, to steal Kevin Brennan phrase, a piazza on live TV. I mean, that was pretty crazy back then. Abdullah the Butcher doing some of his promos, eating raw meat. Uh, I just think a movie about the early '80s territory days. '80s. If I'm a TV executive or a studio executive, I'm going to be like, okay, sales pitch me who's going to see this outside of wrestling fans, because that's an older fan base, and movie people who you know movies they want to figure out a way to get the 18 to what is it 18 to 39-year-old big advertising crowd. So that subject is not going to get 18-year-old kids in there unless you have a Zac Efron type in that movie, you know. But I mean, wrestling. I mean, a lot of people love wrestling. You know, I don't know who the Mulkey brothers are, to be honest. You talking about Chris Mulkey, the character actor? Um, yeah, I mean, there's ways to do a wrestling show that you could do. I mean, Glow was good. I mean, uh, and I think a lot of that was because of Chavo Guerrero Jr.'s being the technical advisor. Like the wrestling scenes look realistic, but they also had really good actors, Allison Brie and others, Mark Maron. I know. Well, I mean, in many ways, because to a large part of that audience, the young kids, they did not know who Sting was. Because Sting previously was in TNA for 13 years. And young kids weren't watching TNA. They weren't born when Sting was in his prime in WCW. So you needed to do a better job at um, introducing Sting to the young fans of the WWE, which they did not. And that's why his tenure in WWE was a disaster. Um, so if you were to do a movie about anything mid '80s wrestling, you'd either have to have an A-list cast to get their fans to come see the movie too, because sadly, like you just said, someone who was in their 30s in the late '70s, early '80s, they're now 70 years old. You know, so and you think he's overrated. Who's right? Neither one of us. But I could see, like, yeah, I don't know how old you are, cool boy, I mean, I'm 55. I'll just assume you're younger than me significantly. So, like, to me, being 55 and seeing Sting in his absolute physical prime, he's like my John Cena. Um, along with, like, say, Magnum TA, who a lot of people I'll just assume you're young, uh, but younger people don't know who Magnum TA is. Yeah, but like if you look at the first segment when Triple H and a Scorpion Death Drop, and I'll give Triple H this: he sold it. Like he looked like Lee Harvey Oswald was in that arena. So I think that first segment I'll give an A minus. Because Triple H sold for Sting. You know, Ziggler and Rollins did their part, and then to have Sting essentially jobbed to Triple H at WrestleMania, it just ruined his character. Like, because here's what they should have done, and it's better business for everyone. It's better business for Sting. It's better business for the WWE. Uh, you have Sting go over Triple H at WrestleMania because Triple H is in that rarefied era. Win or lose, he's still Triple H. He's still married to the boss's daughter. He's the evil heel. Like losing that match would have done nothing bad for him. Whereas losing for Sting, your first match is WrestleMania, the grandest stage of them all, and the next night you're in an off-air segment with Bo Dallas plugging the network. I mean, it's just awful, awful, awful writing. To this day, but that's almost 10 years ago, and I still very much feel the same way. So, well, I mean, it depends, Nick, on how you rate wrestlers. And what I mean by that is, do you rate them just on their look? Do you rate them on their technical ability? Do you rate them on both? Do you rate them on longevity? I mean, there's some people who think Ric Flair's overrated. Um, I mean, Sting had the look. Surfer Sting, Pro Sting, and like you said, the fact that he's 64 and still, I don't get kicked for saying that. Thank you, welcome, Cheng Wei. I got to see Sting last night. Um, my first and only time, probably. Omega last night for the first time. Uh, yeah, so I mean, Ross, you're the 14 years younger than me, so you probably grew up with WCW Sting toward the end as a kid, whereas I grew up with, when I was 12, 13, 14, the Hogan, Piper, uh, you know, early Flair, early Four Horsemen, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff. So, you know, hello, Ching Wei. Um, yeah, I mean, everyone rates everyone. I rate them more in their look and their personality. So, like, to me, I love the Ultimate Warrior. Now, he might be the worst technical wrestler of all time, but we still talk about him because his promos were nuts. His look was perfect for the era. Uh, like I remember thinking Nikita Koloff was actually from Russia. Like you guys now, younger people can look up Nikita Koloff. Oh, he's from Russo, Minnesota. Yeah, Sting versus Muda was a great feud. Um, or up with like 10 to 12 years before that, watching World Class Championship Wrestling, watching AW, even AWA, Colonel De Beers and stuff like that. Right now, MJF has the full package all the way down to the psychology. 100% days with Jordan the Lion. He is like Rick Rude meets Mr. Perfect meets the Ultimate Warrior. Notice he does the ring shaking. That's an homage to the Ultimate Warrior, which is another reason why I like um, MJF. So let's get back to AEW. So Tony Storm is the new champion. Um, Eddie Kingston is in an interview. He's in the Continental Classic now. I think the finals are in December 30th pay-per-view in Long Island, New York. So I'm sure MJF will be on that pay-per-view. Probably the match of the night. Um, the ladder match. Now I don't know how this. I have not watched the pay-per-view on TV yet. I did order it, even though I went to it. You know, I like to watch it on TV the next day or 2 days later. So I don't know how the ladder match played out on TV, but I'm telling you live, it was brutal. I mean, and all 8 guys got their shine on. Um, I gotta give a special shout out to Brody King. Like, he took 2 ladder bumps that I know pro wrestling is scripted and rehearsed and all that stuff, but the 2 ladder bumps Brody King took were unbelievable. Like, they hurt. I don't care what people say. I don't care people, I spoke with, one of the participants beforehand, and he said, "Yeah, we're all gonna protect each other." And, like, you can't protect, when Brody King's laid out on a ladder and someone jumps off the top rope onto the ladder, I mean, the ladder is still a ladder, man. Um, so that was my favorite match of the night. I thought the ending was a little weird, where just, there wasn't some great, like, oh my god move. It was just Ricky Starks hitting Cash Wheeler. Uh, that noise is someone texting me there's a car chase on TV. That would be kind of fun to recap on one of these streams. But the ending was a little weak. I didn't think there was like, maybe, I thought it could have been a better ending. I have no problem with Ricky Starks and Big Bill winning, but like, I thought it would have been really cool if you had 4 ladders and they're all right next to each other. So, and then you have uh, 2 guys on each ladder, so all 8 participants. Um, and then, there's some wild, not frenetic finish to get them, and then, Big Bill and like clotheslines everyone. Um, and it could have been a little better finish, but overall, that was my favorite match of the night, just because it was really good. I mean, it literally all 8 guys got in their shine. So, I thought that was very good. Now, I felt bad for the women's TBS championship match to follow that. It was like, okay, this is not this is gonna be rough. I mean, obviously, Julia Hart wins. Sky Blue, for being as pushed as she is, I'm just not feeling it. Um, but clearly someone in AW likes her, and same thing with Chris Statlander. I mean, that's a girl who beat Jade Cargill in her last match, which is when I kind of figured, oh man, Cargill's leaving. Statlander just doesn't do it for me, and I don't know why. She's very good. She's just a little too vanilla. But Julia Hart should win. She's the clear star amongst those 3. But I could also see Sky Blue growing into something. But right now, I just don't see it. And then this is when I got an instant erection. AEW's new signing. And, I thought it could be any number of people. But I was also confused because I thought the devil would come out at the end. So it's like, okay, who could it be? I mean, the big signing, it was, not knowing the compete clauses, but I thought the big signing was either going to be Ziggler, Matt Riddle, Mustafa Ali, David Finlay from Bullet Club in Japan, um, Osprey, um, or Ronda Rousey. Now, Ronda Rousey debuted, I think, the night before in Ring of Honor, so I thought, oh, they'll just bring her in. She's AEW. I mean, that crowd would have popped hard for Rousey. And then very nice pop for Will Ospreay. He's got to finish up New Japan. I think his deal's up in February, so he's not quite going to be in AEW yet. But I mean, you could put Will Ospreay in a match with Omos, and he'd carry Omos to a 5-star match. I mean, and the matches that you could have Ospreay and just MJF and Ospreay on the mic and in the ring, unbelievable. I don't know if there's much interest in the third Osprey Omega match, but I wouldn't be against it. Um, Osprey and Daniel Garcia would be kind of on the DL, a good match. Osprey and Edge be a good match. Osprey and even a guy like Powerhouse Hobbs, would be an interesting clash of styles. But even Osprey and Orange Cassidy would be good. Like, I think they wrestled once already. If I'm not mistaken. Oh, sorry about that. That's the protein cookie kicking in. That protein cookie was kind of nasty, to be honest with you. I haven't finished the gorilla drink, the blood, tiger's blood. And if an energy drink is really good, I down it in like 2 minutes. So I'm nipping that. So, but the crowd popped hard for Osprey, bigger than I thought they would, to be honest with you, because he's still not really that known in America. Although he had a great match, I think, with Josh Alexander this week on was it Impact. So I'm excited to see Osprey here full time, and I'm assuming that means United Empire will unite. Um, so that's a great trios match. I'm assuming Omega and the Bucks will get back together at some point. And then, you've got House of Black. I love them. You've got Luchasaurus, Christian, and Nick Wayne. So there's some good trios matches. And then you have, and once again, this is like the ladder match. And Swerve. That's my God. If there is favorite match of mine, it was this one. And once again, I don't know. I'm curious to watch this match back on TV. I don't know how this looked on television, but live, it was disgusting. Like, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but usually when a black wrestler bleeds, you don't really see it because it's, especially if they're darker in color. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like, if Darius Martin bled, you could kind of see it, but Swerve Strickland is very black. So he instantly was like, oh my God, he's really bleeding. And very violent match. I mean, there was probably 3 or 4 times I said to my friends next to me, "Oh, they can't do this. They can't do that. No, 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 no." Like when I think Swerve gave Hangman a pile driver on the 2x4, not 2x4, but I don't know, however big the piece of wood was with the barbed wire. Like, oh my, I'm like, you can't do that. And just power bombs on. The barbed wire. Now, I don't know if that was gimmicked barbed wire. Like I've been to XPW shows, and that ain't gimmicked barbed wire. That is barbed wire. I'm assuming in AEW and WWE, it's the sharp parts, but like still, it's barbed wire. But wow, I mean, this match was unbelievable. Like incredibly violent. I mean, almost on an ECW, XPW level. Yeah, I mean the cinder block thing. It's not a complaint, but when I think Swerve hit Hangman toward the end with the cinder block and it just exploded in powder, like obviously we all know it's not a real cinder block, but like they could have covered it up a little better. And then Swerve's finisher, like when Hangman was, I think he was on the table of barbed wire. Like, I mean that had to hurt a little bit. But a very, an amazing match. I thought Hangman would win this one because I think people would have been into a third, like a rubber match. But this was definitely Swerve's coming out moment. Like, oh my God, this guy's arrived. This guy is a main eventer. So it'll be very curious to see. Like, I would love to see Swerve and Will Ospreay. Can you imagine those guys? So it's going to be interesting to see with Hangman. He delivered last night. I know he lost, but like this Hangman's coming out, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, Hangman drinking the blood. I mean, I'm assuming they got tested and whatnot. But it was like it was pretty wild to watch live. And then I felt bad for the next match, the Golden Jets. Jericho and Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. I'm like, oh man, they're even though I mean, all four of those guys are pros. And I thought, this is my Adam Copeland shirt. I'll stand up. By the way, why it just pops into my head, the merch was a little weak. Now, this is once again where AEW and WWE, you really get to appreciate the WWE business machine because I think they had 6 shirts in total. Uh, um, they had, I did get all 6 in full disclosure. You know, Daddy don't fly coach, he's first class. They had a really funny scissor shirt, like the scissors over the Hollywood sign. I'm like, I got to get that. They had an MJF shirt in Laker colors that said, I'm your scumbag. This shirt, what else did they, and a couple Los Angeles only shirts. So I always get those when I'm at a show. That was one of the bummers at the Metallica show. They had some specific LA based shirts that were really cool looking, but they were sold out. And I bought a pair of Sting gloves, but like only 6 shirts. Like it's crazy to me that you didn't have Sting shirts there. It's this last show in LA. You know, people even who aren't even people who aren't fans of Sting would get those shirts. Um, no Christian shirts. I mean, Christian is the hottest heel right now for your company. You don't have one of his shirts. Like that's crazy to me. Um, no Young Bucks shirts, and they're from Rancho Cucamonga, so they're basically LA's their hometown. Like some definite boners on the merch, you know. So I don't know who's to blame for that, but you know, it's definitely some lost opportunity. And I picked up a cool AEW hoodie, just a black hoodie, but uh, and you know, no Omega shirts. Like you know, he's got a really cool design. So no Jericho shirts. Uh, well, I will say, Jordan, after you know you had the ladder match. Uh, You had the Julia Hart match, you know, which was a good palate cleanser before the Hangman Swerve match. Mm, You know, I was like, oh boy, I felt bad for the Gold Jets and the Bucks because it's like the first couple minutes, no one booed, but because they were wrestling actually, and so it was kind of just like, oh, this is they're actually wrestling. Where's the blood? Where are the tables? Where's the barbed wire? Where's the jumps off the ladder? But then there was a point, and I forget there was one move that got the crowd into it, and then the second half of the match was really good. And what I really loved about it was when Omega was in between Jericho and then one of the Bucks, and you could tell he's conflicted. Who do I give the V trigger to? And the way he started running at Jericho was really good because he made it seem like he's gonna do the V trigger on Jericho, and then at the last second, he went to the left of Jericho, bounced off the ropes, and gave it to the Bucks, and then they won the match. So I did like the ending. I mean, it was I mean, that once again, you know, when the previous 2 or 3 matches were incredibly violent and bloody, like it was incredibly tough to follow. It's like, you know, following a comic who swears a lot or following a high energy comic. And like for me, I'm very dry. You know, I do stand up like I talk on this stream. So, well, I think it's a temporary team. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought at one point maybe the Bucks and Jericho turn on Omega and you do something with that. And then Omega can team up with Ibushi. But Ibushi, they don't seem to, you know, he's a New Japan guy. And so I get there's obligations there he probably can't get out of. But you know, it'll be interesting to see where Jericho and Omega, and I mean, it makes sense. I do like, you know. By the way, for people not understanding the Golden Jets tag team name, obviously the Winnipeg Jets hockey team is, you know, has something to do with that. And Bobby Hull, his nickname was the Golden Jet. So for you people not really being hockey freaks, that's why they're called the Golden Jets. Yeah, see, I didn't hear the Don Callis on commentary, so well. I'm not anti-Jericho. I love Jericho, and his longevity is, he's going to be the new Sting, basically, still relevant in his late 50s and 60s. But um, it'll be interesting to see where they go with Omega, and I could see like a trios tournament, but they already had that, like with United Empire, Omega and the Bucks. I mean, Sammy Guevara's kind of disappeared off of TV now. I know he just had a kid though, so there could be that. I mean, I know that's why Sean Spears kind of disappeared for a bit. Uh, and then we have MJF and Jay White, of course. The beginning count, Adam Cole and Jay White are in the ring, and on the screen on the monitor, you see MJF pull up in the ambulance. Great match. MJF and Jay White have good chemistry. I mean, people kind of don't know. American fans aren't really hip to New Japan. I mean, Jay White's a god over there. So I knew he would deliver, and he's great on the mic. I've said it before. I do wish Jay White was by himself, and that's not a knock on the Guns or Juice Robinson. By the way, Juice Robinson wasn't on this thing. He wasn't even anywhere. I don't know if he got hurt or whatever, but Wardlow wasn't on. I mean, we'll get to my final grade in a second, but they have really, really chemistry. Um, and then the match, I would say the match was probably about a half hour, and some good teasing of MJF and Adam Cole, and you don't know if Adam Cole's going to turn on MJF. I mean, it was kind of hinted, and I like the psychology of the main event. Almost seems at one point Jay White and Adam Cole are going to like connect. Maybe there's a Bullet Club. A million thoughts were going through my head at this time. Uh, because I thought, okay, see, here's what I thought was going to happen. You could have done this one of two ways. So MJF wins. No complaint about the match. Um, I thought MJF celebrates either in the ring or at the top of the ramp. Lights go down. Wardlow attacks him. So that sets up that feud. Or lights go down. The devil and his posse come out. They attack MJF. Now you could reveal who the devil is at that point, or you just tease it as a slow build. Um, or you could have Wardlow attack him, and MJF comes out, or I'm sorry, the devil comes out, and he's now associated with Wardlow. And they either reveal who the devil is, or you tease it. Or, you could have the devil, be honest with you. It's just MJF walking off. Thought they're, because, when you only have cooler moment on not Monday for this. The people watching football are calling each other at halftime. Hey, did you see AEW? Did you see the full gear? Did you see? Oh my God, the devil is this person, or oh my God, Wardlow came back, and blah blah blah. Any of those moments, out Samoa Joe. He was very good in the 0 hour match with MJF. Um, he's very very good. Um, so the fact my final grade for this pay per view is I'm gonna go with a B plus. I don't think there was a bad match on the card. Now, I will disagree with you, Jordan, about the Omega match should have been first. I thought Sting and match. I thought that was a perfect opening match because you got all the big names. The faces are going to win. There's some really funny stuff with Christian running away from Edge the whole time. I thought a really cool moment was Sting and Nick Wayne doing a little bit of wrestling. I mean, here you have a 64-year-old and an 18-year-old wrestling, and Nick's totally selling for him. And it was emotional. Like, I'm not going to say I was crying, but you have probably Sting's last time ever wrestling in Los Angeles, and he hugged his son. It was kind of neat to see that as a fan. And Ric Flair, obviously, you can't go wrong with Ric Flair. So I thought the first match was good, but not great. But you can't start off a match with greatness, and then it's just automatically going to be downhill from that. So I thought all the matches were pretty good. I mean, I don't know if I would have put Omega and Jericho basically in the co-main event because I thought, I mean, it sounds crazy to say this, but knowing how nuts Hangman and Swerve was going to be, I mean, I guess you can't have them be the main event, but like I think the matches after that had trouble following that. But they were all good. I mean, the Omega Jericho Bucks match in the second half was really good. Some good storytelling. And I thought that, the Swerve Hangman, uh, you know, this violent but good storytelling. And, so I thought that, um, I mean, obviously, I guess you have to have Jay White and MJF be the last match, but I'm not giving it an A minus because no devil reveal. You don't really There's no follow up or follow through with the storyline, and I just thought that there was no real big surprises outside of the Osprey signing. Um, but overall, a very good card. I mean, the 0 hour matches were all good. I mean, the Jay Lethal match was good. Buddy Matthews and Claudio was good. I thought Samoa Joe and MJF beating the Guns, that was a good match. And the Guns are like the new like go to bad guy tag team. I mean, they're very good. And I'm, a huge fan of Austin Gunn, but I'm really getting around on Colton. Like you could tell he's the shyer of the two brothers in real life. I mean, Austin's the ham, but you could Colton's growing. So a very good card. I mean, Dynamite will be interesting to see if they continue the storylines or whatnot. Um, like I said, I said this in the first part of the stream that apparently there were some technical difficulties on, so I don't think that I don't know if this aired or not, but I'm going to leave up whatever was aired. Um, I personally would not have done 4 shows in the LA area. What was it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? So in 4 days, you had 4 AEW shows, and I think attendance was definitely hurt on Collision and Rampage. I mean, my friend who was there in the front row said the arena is about 3/4 empty. I will say for Full Gear, it was completely sold out. I was sitting right behind the hard cam, and it was a great, great show. So that's my full review. Uh, I thought they also did a good job with Rampage and Collision, kind of the lead in to Full Gear. They established some storylines and made you want to get the Full Gear pay per view. I think sometimes AEW is guilty of the go home shows not really getting you to want to order or go to the pay per view. I think they did very well this week. I thought Dynamite was good, but you could tell the crowd was a little light. But I felt bad for. Thank you, Ross Incognito. Felt bad for the Dynamite crowd because I was going to go to that, but I think when with the 10 freeway situation being what it is, there's no way I could get to Ontario by 5 o'clock. I mean, I would have had to leave at the latest 1. So, but I hope AEW comes back to LA sooner than later. I'm assuming it won't be for a while. But overall, I think it was a good week for AEW. I mean, AEW has proven that they can put on good shows and good pay per views. It's been a couple good pay per views in a row now for AEW. So I hope that they continue the momentum. I mean, I think Ziggler and Riddle and Mustafa Ali's non compete clauses end at some point in December. Now, I don't think that they would debut. I mean, that pay per view in Long Island, I don't know if I would classify it as a big pay per view. So I don't know if they would waste the oh my God surprise on that. I mean, I could see them maybe a big Dynamite having one of those guys come out. And now Rousey's in Ring of Honor, so I'm assuming she'll show up in AEW at some point. That would be big because she's a crossover star. I mean, anytime she's trending, it's 10,000 tweets on her. Whereas someone like, say, Britt Baker, who I love, it's 2,000 tweets. It just goes to show you the difference between someone who's popular only in wrestling and then someone who's popular in MMA, wrestling, and movies. It's literally 5 times the tweets. And I'm getting a text, shut up, on who do you think the devil is? Well, if they stay true to who the devil is from the standpoint of it's the actual person in the suit. Now, I've watched this over and over, all the devil's segments. Now, I might be going crazy because in the first segment where they attacked Jay White, the attackers all looked relatively skinny. I almost thought it was a team of females, which would be pretty cool. And then in the second attack against the Acclaimed, where they threw Bowens through the window, the one who threw Bowens through the window was pretty jacked. Definitely could be Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, or Riddle. Now, it probably can't be them because they're not, but I could see like a body double for one of those three. But still, the devil was the remaining very slender up top, like from shoulder to shoulder. It's brutal. That's possible. I don't believe it's Adam. I mean, it makes sense that he would turn on MJF, but he's pretty big up top. Roderick Strong's pretty big up top. And then a couple days ago, I thought, oh my God, they've been playing the evil Danhausen promos on Dynamite, kind of on the DL. Like they just play it, they don't really address it. What if the devil is Danhausen? Because he's not small, because I took a picture with him, but like he's smaller on top. And then it hit me last night when I'm in line for food. By the way, the food, I'm not gonna. I'll rate the food at the Kia Forum. Not bad. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I had a chicken, not fried chicken, crispy chicken sandwich, basically fried chicken. And for the first time in probably literally 20 years, I was so hungry I had French fries, and they weren't bad. Very salty though, and I had a little vegan ice cream with all that calories I ingested, and I had a Diet Pepsi. The fuck out of here. AEW. And I've not heard one person say this. So if you go back, what I just said, slender builds, could be a woman. What man has almost a woman's build that no one's talked about? And I'm making my prediction right now, unless they change this. Drum roll, please. Can I get a drum roll in chat? There's 10 people. Can I get a countdown in chat? Someone put in 10, someone put in 9, and then I will reveal. What up, Jose? I will reveal who I think the devil is. Drummond, Ross Incognito is Drummond. Oh, don't go 20, but all right, 10. I'm gonna need to see a 9. I'm gonna need to see an 8, Nick. All right, Nick, I need a 7, 6, and 5 from you, and a 4, and then William. All right, we got numbers all over the place now. All right, 5. I need a 4. All right, and William Zoom. Nick's doing it. We're doing it live. 2. Here's all right. 1. I'm gonna need to see a 1, Nick. The devil is. The devil is with me. Tony Khan grew up with wrestling. Did the stream really run out? No, it didn't. Come on, Nick. You're out of control. Are you trolling me, Nick? You doing a heel turn on me? Oh, really? Yes, I think Oh, did you really? The devil's Tony Khan. Tony Khan is a fan. Tony Khan grew up in the Vince McMahon, Attitude Era. Be the devil. They have shown no physical involvement with the devil. So the devil's not doing anything physical, which obviously Tony Khan could not. I'm telling you right now, unless they hear this and change the storyline, the devil is Tony Khan. Because then Tony Khan can live Kevin Sullivan. What are they gonna bring back Devastation Incorporated with Kamala and the one man gang? Um, Tony Khan wants to be like, I can be the evil CEO too. And I wouldn't be against McMahon as evil of a person as he is. Vince McMahon is very good on camera. He just is. So, some people have it. It's like some people are funny, some aren't. Did you vote for Biden or Trump? I'll be honest with you, I voted for Trump in the last election. I'm kind of embarrassed that I did. But, I don't vote for the best person. I vote for the the person whose policies benefit me the most. And seeing that my investments are mainly in the stock market, Trump is better than Biden for the stock market. Ah, I know, Nick, but I'm honest. He's a horrible person, but if you vote for the best person, you'd be voting for Tim Scott, who gets 1% of the vote. Um, you know, so I regret it, but I don't regret it. I know so many people who voted for Trump, and they say, "Oh, I voted for Biden." When you bring up politics, only 3 people. That's how divisive politics are. Literally, as soon as people heard I voted for Trump, I lost 11. I lost 80% of the people in chat. So that's why I don't. I lost another one right now. So, oh, we got one back. We got one back. But to be honest with you, this next year, I'm not voting for either. I mean, what a horrible choice. You got one guy who, listen, ageism sucks, so I'm not doing this. I get ageism in comedy. To be a 55-year-old straight white comic, it's the worst thing you can be in this business. But I don't have my hands on the new codes. So I don't feel comfortable with Biden having the hands on the nuke codes. And, Trump has 94 felony accounts. You know, he's like another, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in American politics. I mean, if you look at the Republican, probably shouldn't politics, but, look at the people, Scott, who looks totally lost up there. You got Chris Christie saying, I'm the one who can beat Trump. You're the one who built him last 8 years. You were up his ass. So don't be fake. Vivek Ramaswamy, but, she's 40 points behind. Oh, yeah, I mean, listen, like, I live in California. I mean, this state's a shithole. I mean, Los Angeles is completely out of control. Crime, homeless, traffic, extending, overdevelopment, and the state as a whole is a shithole. And now you've got Gavin Newsom. It will probably be the next president in terms of when Biden drops out, or I predict Gavin Newsom will be president in 2028. Now, a lot of scandals can happen and whatnot, but like, he can't even run this fucking state. Overtaxed, overpopulated, overdeveloped, crime up the yin yang. I mean, the homeless. It's of a plague-like level. I mean, I moved to West Hollywood in 2001. Literally, I think 2 months after 9/11. And I would say now West Hollywood's only a 1.9 square mile city. It's actually quite a small city, but there's like I think 1,000,000 people in that. 2001, 5 to 10 homeless. They were regulars, basically. You almost felt like they were your neighbors because you saw them, same areas, and you give them food or coffee or blankets or clothes. They became almost your friends. They would offer your blankets or clothes. They became almost your friends. They would literally, hey, it's Clausen. I one guy my this is when I was really angry about the show. I gave, and I will say it was kind of cool. The first season of Roast Battle, when we got into our hotel room that night. Oh, thank you, Nationalists. That makes me feel a little better. But when we first got into our hotel room, there was a Roast Battle hoodie with our name on it, a Roast Battle like Rocky type boxing shorts with our name on it, and something else with our name on it. Um, and I remember I gave my Roast Battle hoodie to a homeless guy, and 'cause it was really cold out one night. I happened to be wearing it walking the dog, and so I saw this homeless guy shivering. I'm like, "Here, man, take my hoodie." And the next night, I saw him wiping his ass right on where it said Jeff Ross on the back. So I thought, well, that kind of makes me feel better. Um, well, yeah, I didn't see Dream taped or whatever, fully recorded. So that first Ustream streamed about 1 hour ago. 35 minutes was recorded, but so and then it just stopped. So this one is what are we at? About 1 hour and 17 minutes. So you guys still got 2 hours. Um, so sorry about that. There's nothing I can do about that. It is. I don't know if this has anything to do with YouTube in Los Angeles, but it is incredibly windy outside right now. I'm not gonna say it's a fucking hurricane, but it's pretty bad. So yeah, so yeah, probably William. Of all the streams, YouTube has jacked this one. Damn it. Well, from what I'm hearing, YouTube Live has been a little wonky the whole night for everyone. But I can only do what I can do. You guys know me. I'm pretty low tech savvy, so I just